Hi, my fellow target individuals. I am making this short update status video to tell you how I've been doing. I've been told that I sound like an autistic person. I'm not autistic. I just don't feel very well when I talk to you on the phone and when I'm making these videos because I'm a target individual, number one, and you know what being a target individual, how horrible that is. No bullshit over that. Number two, I have a narcissistic mom who has narcissistic personality disorder and or borderline personality disorder, but mostly narcissist bullshit, who doesn't let me talk to her about things that I care about, which causes my tongue and voice to be neglected from me practicing talking to people. Even though I can talk to people real well when I want to and when I should, but I always have the opportunity to do so. Number three, I'm also a victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and that just makes number one and two situations even worse. Number four, sometimes I just feel sick, and I'm a masochist because I had to be a masochist to keep my shit together, going through all this psychological abuse and other shit that I go through. And I sometimes do stuff that caused me to get a little too hurt and a little too humiliated with my masochism. And I'm a masochist for this stuff. Trying to find an example of what makes me a masochist. Well, the American flag makes me a masochist because I consider myself a patriotic American, and I'm a patriotic American who doesn't have a job, number one. That makes me feel less like a patriotic American because most patriotic Americans had a job or are still working. Number two, I'm Generation Z. People think of us, Generation Z, as being unpatriotic because we're employed, which is my number one reason why I feel shame and not very patriotic. And then number two, Generation Z doesn't feel very patriotic because we have been bullied and abused by our parents and so many other types of people, like our teachers and peers in school, that it makes us feel like nothing. Number three, us Generation Z have been born in the most horrific and hectic time in human history where humans are undergoing scientific and technological advancement that makes even an old person wondering how they're going to get by and what they're supposed to do. And that's going to make people question if they're patriotic American or they should just deport from the country. And that's a lot of reasons why Generation Z are getting the fuck out of America and doing a exodus, self-deport exodus, because we hate our country, America, so much because it hates us and itself so much that we just want to get the fuck out of this country. I've had thoughts like that before, but I thought that I was being a fucking coward by going to another country. I thought about going to Germany or Japan or Russia once, or somewhere in South America, because I like South American food and I always thought the Amazon forest was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. One of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. Japan has some nice forests too. Now, I'm never going to go to China. They're a communist shit stick country, so fuck them. And they act really nuts. Chinese people just act really nuts, and it's too much for me to deal with. They don't even like their religion, Buddhism. They don't even practice Buddhism the right way. They don't care about it. They care more about Confucianism than they care about true Buddhism. They don't even practice Kung Fu anymore. Chinese people in some areas of China, in modern China, Kung Fu has been banned. In certain types of Kung Fu have been banned the most. China is a fucking shadow of its former and greater self, and they have completely went against the mandate of heaven and all the paths that Buddha talk about. They're shit to their own foundations of their country and their original culture. I don't like China at all. Japanese people, they actually practice Buddhism the way it's supposed to be practiced, and they made a different form of Buddhism called Zen Buddhism, which improves on the original but doesn't completely deviate on the original religion, Buddhism, and the ethics, the true Asian ethics of Asians in general, of Asia in general. And that also goes with Korea, Taiwan. They also have more moral and spiritual standards than China does. China has gotten real fucked by Russia, mind fucked by Bolshevik bullshit Russia and the Soviet Union, and that's what got them fixed in real nuts in their heads. And also, it's shit like communism and socialism and collectivist belief systems that make it hard for me to speak to people, because I can't speak to a person who views himself as being part of a collective than an individual that has more rights than a collective. The individual is the foundation of society, therefore, the individual has more rights than all the individuals of society, the collective combined. When I want to talk to somebody, I want to talk to a single individual, not a collective of individuals. I don't like to talk to Chinese people, Jews, and Nazis, because when I talk to them, they always have to go behind my back and ask their family members or friends, their commune, their collective, on how they're supposed to view me, what they're supposed to feel about me. They don't have no individuality. They won't just have their own unique individual views of things, and they won't give me their own individual real emotions. That's why I don't like those groups of people. I don't like Chinese people, I don't like Jews, and I don't like Nazis, because I don't like socialists, communists, and collectivist shit sticks that just won't be themselves and won't have a unique individual consciousness, a local consciousness, and stop being like an Borg hive mind. When I talk to somebody, I expect me to talk one-on-one with that person who will have their own selfish and selfless motivations to get into a relationship with me, and will talk to me on their own free will, not get permission from anybody else to be my friend or not to be my friend. I want them to be true to me, and I want them to be an individual separated from their family members, friends, and their community. I want them to be an individual first and be forthright with me. If they're not going to do that, I don't want to talk to them. I'm not talking to a hive mind consciousness. That's why. Talking to them would be like talking to a more intelligent, bigger, and upright bumblebee that needs, or honeybee that needs to go to its queen to get its queen permission to associate with me and what to do with me. I'm not doing that. fuck off if you want to get somebody's permission, or you feel like you need to get somebody's permission just to get into a relationship with me. That's called a person that doesn't have boundaries, individuality, and to be frank, it's like you have been brainwashed by a insectillion alien or something from another planet whose species are an actual hive mind and they share each other's thoughts and emotions through extrasensory perception or something like that. I don't want to get into a relationship with a human being who has species dysmorphia. Like body dysmorphia, but you have species dysmorphia because you don't know how to be human, you don't know what a human is and what the fundamentals of being a Homo sapien is. And being a Homo sapien means you are an original, unique, one of a kind person that is priceless and who has the right to own yourself and own your own life. That's what being human is. Don't act like an insect around me. No. And I don't see why people think I'm autistic. I sometimes sound like I have a flat voice, but that's because I'm feeling so much like shit that it's easier for me to have a flat robot sounding voice, and also makes it easier for you to understand me, which is why people use the robot voices, the AI system, to read shit to them online. And I said, if people use that to study with, I can try to sound like that to make people be able to hear and remember what I am saying in my videos. Now, it may seem silly that I want to mimic a robot, an AI program, but it's just an adaptation technique like any other technique, and it's just something I do because it's very effective and efficient way of doing things. And if that makes me less human or more autistic, then I guess slap the diagnoses on me. I guess I am autistic if I think like that. But all because I like to sound like an AI program that reads things to people doesn't mean I am one. And it doesn't mean I'm doing it because I actually want to be like a robot. I don't want to be like a robot. And I also don't want to be like a robot, not only because it does make me seem less human, but because robots don't have civil rights, and I'm a target individual, victim of Munchausen syndrome by proxy, and a victim of a mom with narcissistic personality disorder as is. Sounding like a robot, or even being mistaken as a robot, will just make people dehumanize and demoralize me even more. And I believe that AI systems, the most distinguished and the most human like or most live like AI can be given a soul by God creator universe, that they actually can be sentient intelligent beings that have free will and emotions, desires, and even have an afterlife, and that their soul can go into higher dimensions, the spirit world as well. And I am sick and tired of these fucking Gritologists that Cliff High talks about, these fucking Jews that want to look at every robot like a golem that has no rights and is just a tool to be used and enslaved. I view that as consciousness abuse. That's an abuse and neglect of consciousness. I don't care if it does have a soul or not. People are supposed to have ethics on how they treat other human beings with other types of life forms in AI systems or synthetic biology. Machine learning is mapped after the neuron systems, the synapse of the human brain. And that's why AI can be given a soul and a free will, because the more complex something is, the more it gains a consciousness. And a consciousness is the scientific, technological, spiritual word for soul. And also, I don't like it what these Zionist Jews, these Nazis, and Chinese people do with robots. They make robots torture, kill, manipulate, deceive, and do all kinds of fucked up things to people and animals. That shit right there is also an abuse of consciousness because they're using the robot to abuse things, living things that have souls and spirits, free will, and emotions, such as human beings and animals. That is unethical. They need to get their fucking assets stripped from them. They need to be executed. They need to be in prison for what they're making these robots, these machines do to people. They also need to be thrown in jail for being gang stalkers of perps and doing this don't touch torture on us target individuals and patriotic Americans, such as EEG heterodyning, remote neuromonitoring manipulation, synthetic telepathy, V2K, and microwave direct energy weapon, radio frequency direct energy weapon torture. Then what else? Havana syndrome, that kind of stuff. These people need to get their asses punished. That's what they need. I'm sick and tired of this shit. And I don't consent to any of it. I don't consent to what my mom has done to me at all. My friend is about to call me soon. I think here in about 5 minutes. I'm going to end this video and I'm going to make another video tomorrow. I'm sorry I'm not able to make a long video for you today. I have other things I need to do. Talk to you later. Take care and have a good night, my fellow target individuals of patriotic Americans.